Eric, I see you did the homework this week.
I did, yeah.
That's great. Let me take a look at it.
Sure.
I'll put it on the clipboard here. Why don't you walk me through this?
Okay. So the thing I wrote about, I heard about this job opening, like for a line cook at this noodle place, kind of close to my house. I thought, like, here's something maybe I could actually do. And I ended up actually driving to the place and sort of sitting in the parking lot in my car for a while, kind of trying to talk myself into going in, and ended up just driving back home. So when I got back home, I was feeling pretty sad and kind of depressed. I know you said to do these things when my mood changed.
Exactly.
So I started trying to get some of those thought things that you wanted. I don't think I'm going to get the job. I mean, there's no way. Why are they going to hire me? So I don't know why I should try. What's the point? It feels like everyone else is going to be more qualified than me. I haven't worked in years. I didn't graduate college. So I don't know. I don't want to just get rejected again.
I hear you. So I think you did a great job filling out the 3 columns. What I'd like to do today is move on to the 4th column, which is the rational response.
Okay.
So we want to take an alternative point of view here. And to help you do that, there are a couple questions you can ask yourself. One is, what's the evidence for the thought? And the other is, what's the evidence against the thought?
Okay.
So which of those thoughts do you want to focus on? Because you had several there.
I think that what's the point in trying?
What's the point in trying?
Yeah.
That sounds good. So what's the evidence for the thought?
That's where all the evidence is.
Okay.
I'm unemployed. I'm depressed.
Well, here, let's get this down, yeah.
Okay. Unemployed, I'm depressed. I just quit anyway. That's what's happened in all my other jobs.
Right.
I'd probably stop showing up. I don't think I'd do a very good job even if I went.
Okay.
They're just gonna pick somebody else.
Right.
I don't have the energy.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of evidence supporting the thought, right? Anything else?
I think that's it.
That's
Feels pretty solid case to me.
Right. So let's tackle the other question. What's the evidence against the thought?
Okay, evidence that there is a point? Or that?
Yeah, the evidence against that. What's the point? Kind of tough coming up with something. A lot of people, when they get depressed, have difficulty coming up with evidence opposing that particular thought that you're having. And it seemed like you were able to come up with a lot of evidence supporting the thought, right? So let's see if we can put our heads together and maybe come up with some evidence against the thought.
Okay.
We can ask you a couple questions that might help you. So is there a time when you weren't depressed when you went and started working?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. It's been a couple of years.
Okay.
But I had this job at a burrito place a while ago that went pretty well for a little. I mean, I ended up not showing up and getting fired, but
okay. But it went well in the beginning?
Yeah, for like the first couple of months it went pretty well, yeah.
And so what went well about it? Can you be more specific?
Yeah, I was a good worker. Showed up on time. I worked hard while I was there.
Okay. That sounds like good evidence to me. Why don't you put that down?
All right. A good worker. Okay.
So what did you write down?
That I'm a good worker and that I showed up on time.
Okay.
Um,
Is there any
yeah.
other time, maybe when you weren't depressed, that you felt good about yourself and what you were doing?
When I started college, that felt pretty good. Again, I dropped out, but the first year was really good, actually.
And what was that like?
I had a lot of friends. I was a really hard worker.
Okay.
I studied a lot. I got really good grades.
Okay. Sounds important to me.
Okay.
So hard worker, had a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
I mean, when I'm not depressed, I feel like I'm a pretty reliable person.
Okay.
It just feels like all these things are when I'm not depressed and I am depressed. So.
Right. But I think it's important to look at the evidence for and the evidence against, right? And so that's clearly evidence against the thought, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you read through both the evidence for and the evidence against and tell me what you think.
Okay, the evidence for is that I'm unemployed and depressed, and I'd probably just quit, and I wouldn't do a good job anyway, and they'd just pick somebody else, and I just don't have the energy for it.
Mm-hmm.
The evidence against, I guess in the past I've been a good worker, shows up on time, I work hard, had friends and been reliable.
Mm-hmm. So let's come back to that original thought that you had. What's the point?
Uh-huh.
How much did you believe that on a scale of 0 to 100?
100%.
Okay. How much did you believe that now?
I guess it's gone down some.
Okay, how much?
Maybe at 70 now.
Okay.
70%.
All right, why don't you rate 70%?
Okay.
Anything else about this that you noticed changed?
I haven't really thought about the times when I wasn't depressed in a while.
Uh-huh.
It feels it feels good reminding myself that I had those times.
Uh-huh. In what way does it feel good?
I'm less sad, less depressed.
Less depressed, less sad?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you jot a note down there that reminds you of that?
Yeah, I guess I think about if I can get back to that place again, maybe some of this, my life will get better, that maybe I could get a job at some point.
So maybe feel a little more hopeful?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So do you think that you could do that this week if we went through the same?
I think so. I think it's still going to be pretty tough to kind of come up with the other side of the argument.
Right. What would help to remind you?
I don't know. I guess having this on here is good.
So maybe you could review that before you did another thought record?
Yeah, I think that might help.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I know you had some other thoughts there. What was the other thought that you had on there?
That I'm not going to get the job and that everyone else is more qualified.
Let me see that. Yeah, so this thought, everyone else is more qualified.
Uh-huh.
Notice there's what we call a cognitive error or a thinking style that sometimes we can help to identify a certain style of thinking with an automatic thought. And there's a sheet here called Definitions of Thinking Errors.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking that this type of thought is an all or none thinking, because you said everyone.
But I've been unemployed for a while, so.
Right. But you said here, everyone is more qualified.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world.
maybe not everyone, I guess.
Right. So we call that all around thinking. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes what we write in this column would be all or none thinking for that thought.
Okay.
I'm going to give this sheet to you. Maybe you could review this for homework.
Okay.
And see if you have any other types of thinking errors.
Okay.
Okay?
So you just want me to read that, or?
Yeah, just read it for homework, and then maybe if you notice as you're filling that out, any types of thinking errors in your thought record, you could write them down.
Okay.
Sound good?
I can do that.
All right, great.